Alright, in this lesson, I'm going to share with you on how to write decimals in expanded form. Now, why do we write decimals in expanded form? Well, we write decimals in expanded form so we can show the value of each digit and what each digit is actually worth, okay? It helps with our place value understanding. So here, we're going to learn how to write it in at least 3 different ways, okay? We're going to say what's called sum of decimals in standard notation, which here's an example. If I'm going to take the decimal 0 and 568 thousandths, I can just show the value of each digit as an addition expression. So that 5 is 0 and 5 tenths, that 6 is really 6 hundredths, so plus 0 and 6 hundredths, plus 0 and 8 thousandths. If I added 0 and 5 tenths, plus 0 and 6 hundredths, plus 0 and 8 thousandths, I would get 568 thousandths. I could write it as a sum of multiplication expression using decimals. So I could say that 5, I could just take that digit 5 and multiply by 1/10. 5 times 1/10 is 5 tenths. 6 times 100th. So 6 times 100th is 6 hundredths. 8 times 1,000th. Or I can use that same thing, except instead of writing it in decimal notation, I can take the decimals and write it as a fraction. So 5 times 1/10 plus 6 times 100th plus 8 times 1,000th. So let's just do a couple of these examples. So 2 and 473 thousandths. So here I have 2 1, so I would do 2 plus, that 4 is in the tenth spot, so 2 plus 0 and 4 tenths, plus, that 7's in the hundredth spot, so plus 0 and 7 hundredths, plus, and I'll have to fit that 3 down here, 3, 0 and 3 thousandths, okay? And there's a decimal point that's supposed to be right there, okay? So now let's take that and write it as a sum of multiplication expressions using decimals, okay? So I can take that 2. Now that 2 is in the 1 spot, so I'm going to do 2, okay, put it in parentheses here, 2 times 1, because it's in the 1's place, plus 4 times 1/10. That 4 is in the 10th spot, so 4 times 1/10, plus that 7 is in the 100th spot, so plus 7 times 100th, plus, now that 3 is in the 1,000th spot, so 3 times 1,000th. Okay, and they did it as a fraction, sum of multiplication expression using fractions. So 2 times 1 plus 4 times 1/10 plus 7 times 100th plus 3 times 1,000th. Okay, let's do 0 and 94 thousandths. Put that one in orange. So here I have 0 ones and 0 tenths. I don't really need to include this. I can just start with my first digit here, my 9, okay? Because these are just placeholders. So I can just simply say that is 0 9 hundredths plus 0 and 4 thousandths. Okay? So now let's go to my sum of multiplication expressions using decimals. So again, I'll just start with my 9 hundredths. I can just take my 9. So I can just do 9 times 100th plus 4, and that's in the thousandths place, so 4 times 1,000th. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing except use fractions, sum of multiplication expression using fractions. So I can say 9 times 100th plus 4 times 1/1000th. Okay, so you should be getting the hang of it. Let's do this one here as another example. Put this one in purple. So here I have 7 and 752 thousandths. So again, I have 7 ones, so that's just like, say, 7 plus 7 tenths plus 5 hundredths plus 2 thousandths. Okay. Now let's put this 7 and 752 thousandths. Let's write as a sum of multiplication expressions using decimals. So I can do 7 times 1, it's in the ones place, plus 7 times 1/10 plus 5 times 100th plus, and I'll put my 2 times 1,000th down here, okay? And then my very last step I can do, right, as a fraction. So 7 times 1 plus my 7 times 1/10 as a fraction plus 5 times 100th plus, and I'll finish up down here, 2 times 1,000th. Okay? And then here they gave me expanded form, so I have to write the standard notation. So 0 and 6/10 plus 0 and 300ths plus 0 and 7,000ths. Okay, well, if I just write that standard notation, I don't have any 1, so 0 and I have 6/10, 300ths, and 7,000ths. So I can just write it as 0 and 637,000ths. As a sum of multiplication expressions, I can just say that's like saying 6 times 1/10 plus my 3 times, and that 3's in the hundred spot, so 3 times 0 and 100 plus 7 times, and that 7's in the thousandths place, so 0 and 1,000ths. And now I can take that same thing, except instead of writing it as decimal notation, use fractions. So 6 times 1/10 as a fraction plus 3 times 100 plus 7 times 1,000th. Okay? So that's just a quick example again of how you can take a decimal and write it out in expanded form. I hope that helped.